Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another Thorgers video. As you'll have seen a wee while ago, I unboxed my new Bambu Labs X1 Carbon combo with the AMS on top. This video basically going to give you a quick overview of the printer. I'm going to do the first test print and show you all around the little screen on the printer itself. So yeah, sit down, hope you enjoy it. Just thought I'd show you the first test print for the printer. I'm going to confess that this is not my first print. I actually really needed to get this machine up and running really quickly because I had some projects I needed to do. But I thought I'd show you the good old benchy print, the first print you should ever do on your 3D printer. You can see here, this is completely stock settings. We're on 0.16mm layer height, which is classed as optimal as the preset on the Bambu slicer. You can just see like the insane speed of this thing. It's actually ridiculous. Coming from an Ender 3 previously, this is just absolutely like mind-blowing, and the quality is super good as well. I'm printing this from the AMS. I've got some Bambu matte PLA, some grey stuff in there, which is what this has been printed with. And yeah, I just thought I would show you this. You'll see in the time lapse the whole print itself, hopefully. But yeah, on the screen while you're mid-print, you can see all this stuff. You can also see the same stuff on your phone. There's a Bambu app as well, which I might see if I can show you at some point. But you've got the model that's been printed there, your percentage, the layer that the print's currently on, the remaining time. You can pause and stop the print. And then this button down here is for if I was printing, let's say 10 of these models on the bed at one time, and one of those 10 models failed, say that it came away from the bed or something like that, came dislodged, you can go in here and actually select that model, that specific object, to cancel. It'll keep printing the rest of them, so it would print all 9, and that one it won't bother printing anymore. So you can keep it's to help save on failed prints and wasted time, basically. So that's a really cool feature. And yeah, you can turn other things you can do from here. You can turn the light off in the enclosure, which is that one there, which I won't do because we're doing a time lapse. And then obviously you've got your nozzle temperature, your bed temperature, and the ambient air temperature from within the enclosure. There's tons of other stuff you can do on the screen, which yeah, you can go into all these different options. So if I go in here, this is kind of like your settings and controls, not necessarily for when you're printing, but when the printer's not operating, you can move the extruder around, and you can move the nozzle around and the bed and all sorts. If I go into the filament tab, you can see here that we're currently using AMS slot 1, which is PLA. You can see from the different heights of these kind of coloured graphs the quantity of filament you've got left. So I've got about half a roll of this filament. I've got very little of my carbon fibre PLA, which is this one. You can see we've got about half of the green matte PLA, and then the polycarbonate that I've got at the end, we've got a little bit left. And these quantities of the filament that's left, that only works if you've got a Bambu filament in there. You can use any filament in here, but if you use the Bambu stuff, this whole functionality works really well. You'll notice on the left here, there's also a separate, what they call spool holder. So if you had a filament you wanted to use for one print, let's say, that wasn't in your AMS, you can manually load the filament onto the back. There's a spool holder, and you can feed that filament into the rear of the printer. Well, that's quite a cool feature. Some other benefits of this AMS system, which I'll go into in more detail another time, but if I had 2 filaments of the same type on my AMS, let's say I had 2 of these PLA carbon fibers, if this spool runs out and I've got another spool loaded in, it'll automatically switch over. Once one spool runs out, it'll switch to the other one, so your print will keep going. Something that I could never do on my last printer, so that's super cool. And some of the other stuff in here that you can do a calibration, which I'll show, might have already shown in this video. And then you can also do a dry filament function, which I think I'll show in a separate video perhaps, but that is a really cool feature as well. Print options, you've got various things you can do. You can enable AI monitoring of the print to detect if there's a fault with the print, which I've got off at the moment, but usually I run that. Detect build plate position, first layer inspection, which is quite a cool feature. Basically, it'll take a scan of the first layer of a print and make sure that the adhesion to the bed is correct. That's a really cool little feature. Again, usually have that turned on. There's auto recoveries in there, and then cache cloud print, which I'm never probably used, to be honest, at the moment. We've got a files page, so there's some preloaded kind of Bambu stuff on here, which you can see. There's all these kind of models. They came preloaded on the printer itself. Generally, I wouldn't print from here if I was you. But if you go to the micro SD card, which, as you can see, I've got a micro SD card in the slot here, you can access things such as time-lapse videos. You can send prints from your computer to store on the machine. So if you wanted to have a print on the machine that you could start at any point from here or from your phone, you can do it that way. And then there's print cache, which you can reprint things that you've already printed on here, I believe. If I go into the settings wheel, you can see all my kind of settings and account stuff here. We've got all the information about the machine, what camera setting you've got. There's a little camera in the inside, which I'm probably showing you, but you can change the resolution of that. You can format the SD card. Oh, and you can see the print, Benchy print is just finishing off, which is pretty cool. I'll show you that in a second. You've got all the Wi-Fi settings, and you can go in here and it's got a maintenance tab, which this printer requires a bit of maintenance. It's got carbon fiber rods which come across this axis at the back here, if my camera will focus, just along here. They need periodically cleaned, which you have to do from here, and then also the lead screw lubrication, which if I open up the printer, that's your lead screws here. They need lubricated and cleaned periodically. So there's functions in here where you can do that, and then you can also configure what nozzle you've got installed, basically, which lets the printer know what it's doing. And as you can see, print finished. That took 53 minutes, took 12.2 grams of filament. You can report if there's any faults that you want to feed back to Bambu, which with this one there's none. You've got the option to print that again. You can go to a help page or you can close it, which I'll do. So yeah, I think everything on this screen is really, really good. I think it's really well laid out. And you've also got a little kind of help feature here, so you can do a device self-test if you've got problems. And there's basically all these different menus here, but I've never had to use that. And then when the machine's idle, you can see a nice little image of the printer. But yeah, so for removing the print, this printer has a magnetic bed build plate on it, which is this piece here. So it's super easy to get this print off. On my last printer, it was a bit of a faff. Sometimes the prints would get stuck to the bed and yeah, be a total pain to get off. But with this, if you see here, whoop, it comes off like that. And then the bed is flexible, so you can see that the bed flexes like that, and you can simply pop off your print. And here is the Benchy. As I mentioned previously, this is just a generic Benchy model. It's, as you've seen, straight out the machine. I haven't even looked at this yet, and I haven't printed a Benchy in a while, but you can see the quality is pretty nice for a standard model. And yeah, it does print nice and quick. Well, one thing I would say is, see how you can see a line here? That'll be because we probably had a varying speed within that print. So as it sort of transitions to perhaps an overhang, it'll actually slow the printer down, and you can turn that off. So we could have got rid of that line, but that's all configurable. But yeah, I'm going to class that as our first YouTube print on the Bambu X1 Carbon. So that's pretty cool. And then your bed, obviously I need to get the rest of that filament off, but once you're ready to print again, you pop it in there. There's a little locating corners at the back. that in and it snaps down. Super easy, really quick. The whole process from start to finish with this printer is really user friendly. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with it.